Good afternoon, folks. It's your bro, Rich here. Today's video is now part 11 on the Gen 6 Mustang. Today's video, I'm now doing the next part, which is, I think the important one, the sales of how many Mustangs are sold throughout the years. From, like, the to early mid-2020s. So that'll be like from 2023, like when they last sold the 6th gen Mustang. And so yeah, it's not much on there. It's just gonna be like less than 10-minute video roughly, but we'll see how it goes. Maybe 15, but I don't know. But we'll see. Excuse me. Before I start, make sure you all like the video, subscribe, comment down below what you guys think, hit the notification bell, and hit all so you're alerted of when I make brand new uploads. Alright, so without any further ado, let's begin. So sales is next. So let's do it. So in 2016, a year after the Mustang was released, about 25% so it's a quarter, 25% sales in the first half of the year. So in 2016, about 25% sales in the first half of the year went to both rental and corporate fleet. Next is by region of like from which continent technically, from like the countries and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's by the region. So let's take a look. So this will show the model year and from like the countries and continents that were really sold. And it shows how many in total were sold globally. All right, so we got the US, Canada, Europe, China, Australia, and Latin America. So starting off with the first one is the US in 2015. So they sold 122,400. So 122,439. Let's say 122,439. Well, almost like 122,440, almost if you had one more, into the US in 2015. They sold 6,933 in Canada, 4,889, so 4,889, well, almost 4,890 in Europe, 5,622 in China, 121 121 in China, not China, so well China sold 5,622, and for Australia 121. So sorry if I messed up, my bad. Bringing the global total of 140 excuse me, 140,004. So that's 2015. Now we got 2016. They sold in the US 105,932. So a little bit less than previously. So 105,932. So 105,932 in the US in 2016. In Canada, they sold 7,000. So 7,655 in Canada. So in Canada, Europe 15. So much more than like three over almost like 4 times as much. So in 2016, they sold in Europe 15,204. That's like 4 times the amount they sold more than previously. So in 2016, they sold in Europe 15,204 Mustangs. Pretty good. In China, they sold 3,126. That was in China. Australia, 6,208, bringing the global total of up to 138,000. So 138,125. So a little bit less than last year, but oh well. And I also have Latin America, which they didn't even sold once. They just sold none in 2015 and 2016. So if I haven't mentioned how many were sold in one of those continents, that means they haven't sold the cars there at all. They haven't even sold any of the cars from those years. So they haven't sold not one in Latin America in 2015 and 2016. So 2015 total was 140,004. So 2015 was 140,004. So that's 2015. 2016 was 138,125. In 2017, they sold in the US 81,866. So 81,866 in the US. Canada 8,348. So 8,348 on Canada. Europe 13,241. China 4,242. So 4,225. So 4,225. So China 4,225. Sometimes I have to say a little bit slower just to understand. So 4,225 in China. Australia 9,165. Latin America, they sold 339, almost 340. So it's pretty good. Bringing the global total of 125,809, almost 125,810 if you round it up by adding one more Mustang to Latin America's 2017 sale. So 125,809 were sold in globally in 2017. 2018, however, was a little bit worse. Apart from Latin America, which they did better, but global total, not so much. But let's do it. So 2018, they sold in the US 75,000, say 75,842 in the US. Canada, 8,055. Europe, 9,851. So Europe, 9,851. China, 3,173. So that's China. Australia, 6,412. So Australia, 6,412. Latin America, 2,911. Global total, 113,066. So it's not as much as 2017 sale, but or even 2016, 2015's, but well. So 113,066. 2019, that was slightly bad. So, well, slightly like decreased. 2019, they sold in the US 72,489. So that's in the US. Canada 7,628. So that's Canada. Europe 10,071. They didn't even sold not one in China. So Europe 10,071. Australia 3,948 in Australia. In Latin America, they sold excuse me, 1,878. So 1,878 in Latin America. Global total 102,090. It's not bad. I mean, over 100,000, but not as good as previous years. But well, it's 102,090. It's 102,090 Mustangs were sold. Next was the worst year that we all had to face, and possibly the how can I say this? When I think it was like the danger year, as I call it, 2020. We all know how it was. We all know how what we had to face is COVID-19 regulations and all that kind of stuff. With, social distancing, which was just a pain to behold. But thankfully, it's all gone. No need to worry about that at all. But I mean, it is what it is, really, but nothing really more that we could do about that. We had to like social distance ourselves, but I don't know. It is part of what we have to do. I mean, like we couldn't even go flights anywhere at all. Just stay at home, social distance ourselves, sanitize our hands, and all that kind of stuff. Just wear masks. It was just like a rough day for us all, but luckily we don't have to worry about that at all. So thank God for that. So 2020 they sold in the U.S. 61,090. Say 61,090. Say 61,090. In the U.S. in 2020. Canada 4,636. Say Canada 4,636. Europe 7,495, almost 7,500, by 5 less in Europe. Australia, they sold 2,923. So Australia 2,923. Latin America 1,021, bringing the global total of 77,165. Next is 2021. So that was slightly better. It was a pretty good year, 2021. Pretty good. Everything like settled down. COVID-19 was gone, so thankfully like that happened. So it was around for like a while, this COVID-19 regulations and whatnot. But we didn't wear masks like September, October, something like that. I can't remember. But it was in 2021. I can't remember, but something like that. Anyways. But it was a pretty good year. So in 2021, they sold in the U.S. 52,000 so 52,414 Mustangs in the U.S. in 2021. Canada 4,240 so 4,224, so 4,224 in Canada. In Canada, Europe they sold 3,865 in Europe. So Australia they sold 2,827. So 2,827. So 2,827 in Australia. Latin America they sold 1,143. Say 1,143. Bringing the global total, so 1,143 in the Latin America, bringing the global total this time to 64,473. So 64,473 Mustangs sold globally in total. So 64,473. Next we got is also another one of the good years, 2022. So it was also good. So I think 2022 was like probably the best. So yeah, in 2022, because that was the year I used to start YouTube back in when I did the old channel and all that kind of stuff. But now I have a new one, so that's just gonna get better. So yeah, in 2022, they sold in the U.S. 47,000 so 566 in the US in 2022. Canada 3,808, so 3,808 in Canada. Europe dead on at 3,200. Australia they sold 1,887. So Australia 1,887. In Latin America they sold 1,116. Not 16. Not 16. Sorry, 1,166. There we go. And bringing a global total of 57,620. So 57,627. Last but certainly not the very least is 2023. They sold only in the US, nowhere else, not Canada, Europe, China, Australia, or even Latin America. Like, not globally. They sold only in the US in 2023, 53,000, So 53,159. So slightly better than 2021 and 2022. And say it doesn't have the results for Canada, Europe, China, Australia, or Latin America, or the global total for 2023. And the reason why I did not tell, and the reason why I didn't say what like how many were sold for the ones that are missing for like Latin America for 2015, 2016, and throughout 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022 for China is because they don't actually show like the results of like how many Mustangs are sold throughout those few years in those kind of continents for like the region. I don't know why, but it's just how they do it. Maybe they haven't sold at those times. I don't know. I got no idea. Or maybe they just didn't have Mustangs from those continents. I got no clue. Anyways, so in 2023, they sold 53,159 Mustangs. It's not bad, but I mean, when it was first released, 2015, they did a pretty good bang up job, like properly well for those years. Pretty good, pretty good. So yeah, I'd say 2022 did slightly the worst. I mean, for a total, I mean, almost 60,000 Mustangs. But 2015 just knocked it out of the park for extra 80,000. For 140,000 they did in total. For in 2015 when the new Mustang was like released, that's how many they were just sold. They're just much better at that time. Anyways, guys, so so that's gonna wrap it up for now. For my next Mustang video will be about the production. So it's not gonna be much on there, but oh well. And after that, we got the awards. So that's gonna be pretty cool. And that will mark the end of the 6th gen Mustang, and after that will be the 7th gen, and I'll move on to the next part. Just don't know what I'll do, but I'll figure out what I'll do next. So don't you worry, guys. I'll see what I can do. And so yeah, so that'll be it for now. If you guys like this video, like and subscribe, comment. So like and subscribe, comment down below what you guys think, hit the notification bell, and hit all so you're alerted of when I make brand new uploads. Okay, so that'll be it. I'll see you guys later in the next video. But until then, stay safe, have a great day, and I'll see you guys later in the next video. So take care, folks. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you guys a little later. Peace out.